What would you call reality? What do you believe to be true about your life, your limitations, your possibilities? And what if I told you that none of it is fixed? What if I told you that the rules holding you back aren't real? They're just a script someone handed you, but one you can rewrite at any time. The truth is, you've been conditioned to follow a belief system. You don't even notice, as if you've been placed inside a game but were never taught that you can change the rules. The most amazing part? You have the power to flip the game right now. You don't need to wait for anything external to change or rely on anyone. But there's a catch. Most people don't even realize that this opportunity has always been there. They keep playing a game where they always lose, simply because they believe they can't do anything differently. But today, all of that changes. You're going to understand why some people seem to achieve everything with ease, while others, no matter how hard they try, remain trapped in the same cycles. You'll discover the invisible secret that shapes your reality and how to use it to your advantage. And before you think this is just another empty motivational speech, I'll show you proof, science, history, and practical techniques that will give you the key to rewriting your destiny. The only question is, are you ready to see the truth? Everything you believe to be real has, in some way, been programmed into you since birth. Your mind has been bombarded with invisible rules. Work hard to be someone in life. Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't have it all. But what if those phrases were nothing more than mental commands someone inserted into you? What if, instead of absolute truths, they were just dogmas created to keep you inside a system where you never win? Neuroscience has already proven that our perception of reality isn't objective. It's filtered by what we believe is possible. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, RAS, which functions like a radar, filtering everything relevant to you. A simple example: when you learn a new word, you suddenly start seeing it everywhere. That doesn't mean the word appeared out of nowhere. It just means your brain began to notice it. Now think about that on a bigger scale. If you believe life is hard, your brain will only highlight hardships. If you believe you're incapable, it will give you evidence to support that belief. But here's the secret no one tells you. Your reality is not fixed. It's completely moldable. What you see as barriers or limitations are merely reflections of how your brain has been conditioned to perceive things. The good news? You can reprogram that. Imagine a board game where everyone plays by the same set of rules. Some people learn early on that they can bend the rules or create new ones. Others blindly follow what's been laid out for them. Guess who wins? The truth is, your whole life can change the moment you understand that the limitations surrounding you aren't fixed. They're just distorted versions of reality that were imposed on you. And once you learn to see beyond what you've been taught, you discover an entire universe of possibilities waiting to be explored. Now stop and reflect. How many decisions have you made based on rules you never questioned? How many things have you not even tried because you thought they weren't possible? What would happen if suddenly you started acting as if there were no limits? But here's where things get even more intriguing. Now that you know reality is moldable, what's stopping you from changing it? Do you have any idea how much your mind is imprisoning you without you even realizing it? Everything you believe about yourself, about money, success, relationships, happiness, none of that was consciously chosen by you. These are beliefs implanted since childhood that became invisible, and therefore seem like absolute truth. But what nobody tells you is that these truths are just edited versions of reality, shaped by past experiences, society, and external influences. And the worst part? Most of them keep you trapped in cycles of limitation and frustration. Think about this. If someone had told you since you were a child that you could never learn to swim, and every time you tried, someone laughed and reinforced that it was impossible, what would happen? You wouldn't even try seriously, not because of a lack of ability, but because your mind accepted that idea as truth. That happens with everything. You don't fear failure. You were taught to fear it. You're not bad with money. You were programmed to believe that. And here's the game changer. If these beliefs were placed in your mind without your awareness, then they can also be removed and replaced. Science has already proven that the human brain has an incredible capacity for adaptation. That means you can literally rewrite your internal programming and start operating on a completely different level. But to do that, you first need to identify the beliefs that are sabotaging you. Take a piece of paper and write down the biggest difficulty in your life right now. Then ask yourself, what belief is behind this? If you think you can't earn more money, maybe the belief is, money is hard to make, or I'm not good enough to succeed. If you're stuck in a bad relationship, maybe it's because you believe love hurts, or no one here will truly love me. Be honest with yourself. These thoughts have been repeated in your mind so many times they've become automatic. But here's the good news. They're not the truth. Now comes the part that truly changes everything. Question that belief. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it just something I accepted without thinking? Can you find examples of people who proved the opposite? Whenever you encounter a limiting belief, look for a real-life case that breaks it. For example, if you believe only people born rich can prosper, research someone who came from nothing and built an extraordinary life. Your mind needs evidence to accept change, so feed it stories that show other realities are possible. And here's the trick. Replace your belief with a new one and strengthen that idea by repeating it to yourself every day. If you've always said, I'm bad with money, start saying, I'm financially smart and I always find opportunities. It may seem too simple to be true, but neuroscience has already shown that the brain can't distinguish what's real from what's repeated over and over again. What you tell yourself every day becomes your new truth. This is the secret of those who manage to transform their lives in a way that seems like magic. The only question now is, are you ready to question everything you've been taught? Because from this moment on, you have two choices. Continue accepting the invisible rules that keep you stuck, or break them and write a new story for yourself. But before you decide, I need to show you something even deeper. What happens when you discover that your attention is the real key to changing your reality? Have you ever noticed how your attention seems to attract certain things into your life? Like when you're thinking about buying a specific car and suddenly start seeing it everywhere. Or when you learn a new word and it keeps popping up in the following days. That's not a coincidence. That's your brain filtering what it considers important. And here's the most shocking part. This very mechanism is defining what you see and what you don't see in your own life. The truth is that reality doesn't give you exactly what you want. It gives you what you pay attention to. The reticular activating system acts like a radar, filtering the world, based on your beliefs and what you focus on. If you believe life is hard, your brain will only highlight difficulties. If you think you never get lucky, guess what? You'll only see situations that confirm that. But the opposite is also true. If you direct your attention to opportunities, your brain will start finding paths that were previously invisible. Here's the problem. Most people focus on what they don't want. They wake up thinking about problems, fears, and difficulties, and without realizing it, reinforce exactly that reality. Have you noticed how someone who always complains about money is always broke? Or how someone who constantly says no one is any good only finds problematic people in relationships? That happens because their attention is programmed to find and reaffirm those beliefs. But now comes the transformative part. If you change where you direct your focus, your life changes with it. This isn't an abstract concept, it's pure science. Your brain learns patterns and reinforces them. If you train your mind to look for opportunities instead of problems, a new world will open before your eyes. To test this right now, try a quick experiment. Look around and search for anything blue. Memorize where they are. Now close your eyes and try to remember where the red objects are. Hard, right? That's because your brain wasn't focused on that. Life works the same way. If you only look for difficulties, you'll only see difficulties. If you train your brain to spot possibilities, they will appear. That explains why some people always seem to find solutions, while others are constantly overwhelmed by problems. What sets them apart isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's focus. From now on, every time you catch yourself thinking something negative, immediately switch the thought to a possibility. If your mind says, "This is hard," ask yourself, "What if I found an easy way?" If you think, "I can never do it," replace it with, "How can I learn this?" It may sound silly, but this is exactly how you start reprogramming your attention to see opportunities where you once only saw barriers. Reality doesn't adjust to what you wish, it adjusts to what you focus on. So the question now is, what exactly are you paying attention to every day? Because the answer to that question explains why. You are where you are. But what if there were a way not only to change your focus, but to rewrite your reality from the inside out? If you could rewrite your story right now, what would it look like? And what if I told you that the only thing stopping you from living that reality is the mental programming you carry? Most people live trapped in A cycle of frustration because they believe their identity is fixed, that their limitations are real, and that change requires absurd amounts of time and effort. But the truth is that your brain can be reprogrammed in a matter of days. And when that happens, your life changes as if a switch had been flipped. Think about it. Every belief you have was planted in your mind like a seed in a garden. You weren't born believing that money is hard to earn, that relationships are complicated, or that you're not good enough. These ideas were sown throughout your life, nurtured by experiences, and repeated so many times that they took deep root. But here's the interesting part. Just as you can choose which plants to grow in your garden, you can also uproot the weeds of limiting beliefs and sow new ideas that bring life. But how do you do that in practice? First, you need to identify the root of your struggles. Take a piece of paper and write down a sentence that summarizes one of your biggest challenges. Now ask yourself, what belief is behind this? If you feel like you never achieve your goals, maybe the belief is, I lack discipline, or I always fail. If the problem is money, maybe it's I never earn enough. Now comes the crucial part. Challenge that belief. Ask yourself, is this really true? Can you find moments in your life that prove the opposite? Most people realize that their limiting beliefs have no solid foundation. They're just stories we've told ourselves and repeated over the years. And this is where you replace that old story with a new one. Take the negative belief and rewrite it in a positive form. Instead of, I'm bad with money, write, I'm learning to manage money and attracting new financial opportunities. Instead of, I always fail, write, I'm resilient and always find a solution to move forward. Now comes the most important part. You need to reinforce that new belief until it becomes natural within you. And that happens through repetition and emotion. It's not enough to just say positive phrases. You need to feel that truth in your heart. The mind learns through emotion. The more you repeat your new beliefs with conviction, the faster they become a part of who you are. Want a practical example? Take your new belief and repeat it every morning while looking in the mirror, but not just as a duty. Feel that truth inside you. Imagine what your life would be like if you were already that person. The more real it feels, the faster your mind will accept this new version as your identity. And there's a detail that speeds up this process: action. You need to act as if this belief were already true. If your new belief is, I am healthy and strong, start taking small actions that reinforce this, even if it's just a 5-minute walk. If the belief is, I am financially smart, start studying about money, even if only for a few minutes each day. Small actions create evidence that strengthens this new identity within you. Now here's the question that defines your future. Are you going to keep tending to a garden full of plants that were placed there without your choice? Or are you going to start pruning what no longer serves and plant new seeds that will take you where you truly want to go? Because transforming your mind is just the beginning. The next step is even more powerful: aligning your energy with the reality you want to create. Everything in the universe is energy, and your reality is no exception. What you feel, think, and believe emits a specific frequency, and that frequency attracts matching experiences. Even quantum physics has shown that particles respond to the energy around them. And if everything that exists is made of particles, then your reality is literally being shaped by the vibration you emit every day. Now think for a moment. What has your frequency been like lately? Do you wake up feeling gratitude, enthusiasm, certainty that you're moving in the right direction? Or is your mind always focused on what's missing, on fear of the future, on frustration with the present? The secret here is simple. What you feel becomes what you live. The big issue is that most people vibrate at the wrong frequency without even realizing it. They want success but carry the weight of fear and doubt. They want abundance but are always focused on scarcity. They want happiness but feed on the pains of the past. And since the energy you emit dictates what you receive, these people keep attracting exactly what they want to avoid. But there's a trick that can change this immediately. Raise your vibration intentionally. You don't need to wait for life to get better to feel good. You can feel good now, and as a result, improve your life. Want to test this now? Close your eyes for a moment and think of something you're genuinely grateful for. It can be something small, like the sun shining outside, or something big, like a personal achievement. Now feel that gratitude in your body, as if it's filling every cell. Notice how this simple change of focus already shifts your internal state. That's because gratitude is one of the highest frequencies that exist. And when you access it, your energy aligns with positive things. Now take it to another level. Choose a moment in your day to visualize your dream life as if it's already happening. Imagine yourself living that reality and feel the emotions you'd have if you were already there. It's not just about imagining, it's about feeling. Your brain doesn't distinguish the real from the imagined, so the more you connect with this energy, the faster your reality will adjust to reflect it. And there's more. The body also influences your vibration. If you want to get out of a low energy state, move, dance, run, exercise, do something that activates your physiology. Energy in motion creates transformation. And often, the simple act of getting up and changing your physical state already shifts your emotional vibration. Another essential thing, pay attention to your environment and the people around you. Have you noticed how being around negative people drains your energy? That happens because emotions are contagious. If you want to raise your vibration, surround yourself with people who inspire you. Consume content that uplifts you. Feed your mind with information that empowers instead of limits you. The main point is, you don't need to wait to vibrate at the frequency of the life you want. You can start now. And the longer you stay in that state, the faster your reality will respond. But there's one last ingredient that truly changes the game: action. Because it's not enough to just feel and visualize, you need to act. Now that you understand how your beliefs shape your reality and how the energy you emit defines what you attract, there's one final element missing: action. Because the truth is, no positive thought, no visualization technique, no vibration elevation will matter if you don't act. And here's the detail no one tells you. You don't need to feel ready to act. You just need to act. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right moment, waiting for confidence to appear, waiting to feel prepared. But the big trap is that the feeling of being ready never comes before action. It only comes after. The fatal mistake is thinking you need to feel motivated to start. But the reality is, you start, and then you feel motivated. If you analyze anyone who's achieved something extraordinary, you'll realize they didn't have all the answers when they started. They took the first step even without knowing exactly how everything would unfold. Because those who wait for clarity before acting never move. Clarity comes from movement. And here's a powerful secret. Small actions, accumulated over time, generate massive changes. Most people believe transformation happens in a big leap, but in reality, it's daily small habits that create the snowball effect. If every day you take one step toward your goal, even a small one, in a year you'll be in a completely different place. Want a practical proof? Grab a piece of paper and write down a single step you can take today. Something simple, something that takes less than 5 minutes, but brings you closer to what you want. It could be researching something you need to learn, sending a message to someone, starting a small habit you've been postponing. What matters is getting out of inertia, because once you get into motion, fear and doubt lose strength. And here's another game-changing detail. Those who act create luck. People who seem lucky aren't special. They simply put more energy into the world. The more you try, the more doors open. The more you put yourself out there, the more opportunities appear. That's not coincidence. It's math. Those who act multiply the chances of something going right. Now here's your final challenge. Choose something you've been avoiding, something you know could take you to the next level, and do it now. It can be a small step, but it needs to be something that breaks the cycle of stagnation. Change doesn't happen someday in the future. It happens the exact moment you decide to act. So the final question is, are you going to keep waiting, or are you going to stand up and change the game now? Because the only thing between you and the life you want is the decision to make it happen. If you've made it this far, something inside you has already started to change. You've realized that the rules that held you back weren't real, that your beliefs can be reprogrammed, that your energy determines what you attract, and above all, that action is what turns all of this into reality. But now comes the most important part. What are you going to do with this? Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can watch 1,000 videos, read dozens of books, understand all the science behind the mind and reality, but if you apply nothing, your life will remain exactly the same. So this is your moment. The The question isn't whether this change is possible for you. The question is, are you ready to leave theory behind and truly change the game? The truth is, life always gives you signs, small opportunities to wake up. And if you've reached this point, this might be your sign. The sign to stop living on autopilot, to challenge the beliefs that limit you, to raise your energy, and to act like someone who's already achieved everything they want. Because in the end, reality isn't something that happens to you. Reality is something you create. If you made it this far, congratulations. Not because this video was hard to watch, but because something inside you knows it's time to change the game. I know exactly what this moment feels like. The first time I realized I could rewrite my own rules, it was like a veil had been lifted. Suddenly I saw patterns that once seemed invisible. It was uncomfortable, yes, but also liberating. And if you felt something similar just now, it means your transformation has already begun. Because deep down, what separates those who stay stuck from those who change their story isn't luck, intelligence, or talent. It's the willingness to see beyond the imposed rules. Now seriously, do you really think I'd let you leave here without leaving a comment? Come on, I want to know. What part of this video made you reflect the most? We're in this together. Take the opportunity to like and subscribe. I promise it won't cost you even a second of your current reality. Or will it? Maybe, just maybe, by clicking, you're secretly sending a signal to the universe that you're ready to play a new game. Who knows? There's only one way to find out. And before you go, I know you still feel like something's missing, something that still needs to click into place. Lucky you, the videos right here were handpicked for that. But fair warning, after watching, you might never see your life the same way again. Ready for that revelation? Then pick one and I'll meet you there.